Today we have a painting challenge, and I'm super excited to be here tonight. How is everybody doing? Today we're going to be painting a traditional painting that I actually did back in 2016. Hello, welcome in. Today we're going to be doing a digital painting that I actually completed in 2016 that was actually done with oil paints. And I thought it might be fun for me to try and paint it digitally using Krita. And so today's challenge is going to be painting with default brushes. We'll see how that goes, because I know that a lot of you guys are very much into buying different kinds of brushes and, you know, trying out different types of brushes, but I have actually never bought a brush pack ever. Okay, maybe I looked at them, but I guess I never felt that I needed to do it. And so today I'm gonna try and stumble through this painting in 2 hours using only default brushes. Welcome in. Hi, Dante's Inferno. Welcome. All right. So you can actually see my original photo here was from a picture that I took in 2011. And this was a picture of a magical place called Hampi. It's in India. And I don't know if here, let me zoom in a little closer. So it's a place with big, huge rock boulders. So the landscape is just boulders and ruins, and it's actually pretty cool. So this painting, the original, is called Moonlit Journey, and you can see there's like a little motorcycle here, and this is a marketplace that was kind of lit up but also abandoned. So it was just a really cool, haunting image. So for those of you who have just joined us or don't know much about us, Winged Canvas is an online school of illustration, and our mission is to make art education easily accessible to everyone. So join us for free live stream lessons on YouTube every week and level up your skills with our community of art nerds. We love art nerds here at Winged Canvas, and we're more than just a YouTube channel. We're an online school of illustration and visual storytelling dedicated to helping artists turn their passion into income. And a huge shout out to our amazing students and members for supporting our mission, our Patreon members and our students, because without you, we wouldn't be here. And we love seeing your incredible artwork and watching you grow in our classes and weekly critiques. So if you want to dive deeper, join our Discord. That's where our team lives. And wonderful community of art nerds, about 8,000 of y'all. So join our Discord to access stream videos and notes, demos, exclusive artwork, art challenges, and more free resources to help you improve. So come connect with fellow art nerds and get inspired. All right. So, welcome in, Kevin. Kevin, our lovely mod. All right. Yeah, 8,400 people. Amazing. Okay, so today we are going to be painting a landscape together. And because I'm mostly a traditional painter, I thought it would be a fun challenge for me to try to recreate one of the paintings that I painted with oil. So this painting actually took me, oh gosh, probably about 25 hours, maybe maybe slightly less than that. If I had to estimate, maybe about 20 hours off and on, because I made a lot of changes. So if I'm actually copying this digitally, it's not going to take that long because I didn't have to make a lot of the decisions that I made. So you can see the original photo with the painting. I changed the formation of the boulders a little bit. I changed the colors a lot. I wanted to try a color scheme that was very unique. So it is mostly a triadic color scheme. So I thought, well, that's really hard to pull off. So I'm gonna try it. Oh yeah, and if you don't know, our challenge for this month is Scenic Sketches. Scenic Sketches is our monthly challenge. If you haven't submitted yet, go ahead and join the Discord and submit your landscape paintings or landscape art. It could have characters in them. It doesn't have to have characters. It could be anything landscape related for a chance to be featured on the stream. And if you're going to be drawing along with me, share your artwork on the Discord or on social media and tag us at Winged Canvas. We'd love to see it. All right, cool. So let's get started. I think the reason I have always been slow, like in the beginning with my landscapes, is because I tend to zoom in too much. And while it's physically impossible to zoom in per se with a traditional piece, when it comes to digital, it's like actually really easy to zoom in all the time. And so I think the best thing to do is to just stay zoomed out, because then you'll be focusing a lot more on the big picture stuff. So I think I'm gonna tone my canvas like a nice magenta color. And in terms of my brushes, I've loaded some of my favorite brushes on Krita, and you can kind of see that I like the textured brushes probably the most. And I like to make my brushes really big when I start. So I'm just gonna start off with like a very neon pink color. I always think it's fun to start on a color that is quote unquote like a fun color. It just kind of gets me excited about painting, and it provides like a nice tone for me. Okay, and then I'm just gonna lock this layer so that everything I paint on top of it is going to be contained within this rectangle. Welcome in, Big Snake Boss. And Drawing While Talking, would you share the original picture on Discord so we can download that full size and try painting ourselves? Yes, I can do that. Sure, I can do that. Meanwhile, instead of giving you guys the full resolution picture, why don't you guys take a screenshot of this one right now? Just take a screenshot, because the key to actually painting this really quickly is to not zoom in, right? So the more you zoom in, the less it's going, like the slower it's going to be. So I will upload the image on Discord though. But for now, I'm just gonna like make it really small, okay? Deal? Take a screenshot, really, really small. You don't need a high resolution picture, but I will put one on for you. Okay, so I'm also not going to use the eyedropper tool because I'm going to try my best to just paint with what I see. And, you know, if you guys know me, you probably know that I don't do a lot of digital painting. I do it once in a while, but I've been practicing this year. And I just want to kind of see how long it'll actually take me and if I will stumble through this. Okay, I'm just going to do a little bit of sketching first and zoom out. So I actually don't do a lot of drawing. Oh, why is that white? Let's try this again. I actually don't like to do a ton of drawing when I work. When I work with paintings, I just kind of draw only what I need to, because I don't like the idea of painting by coloring in the lines, right? Like, that's not painting, that's coloring. Painting is a lot more dynamic, it's a lot more fluid, and it's more shape-based rather than line-based. So all I'm really doing here is just drawing a quick little sketch, just to kind of keep me focused on the big picture, right? Then I'm gonna lock transparency, and I'm just gonna try and work on one layer using a crispy brush. So like, no transparent brushes, no opacity, just kind of full on color for now. And so the fastest way for me, when I paint traditionally, it's a very different method, right? When I paint traditionally, I tone the canvas, I do some drawing, and then I kind of paint dark to light. But I think with digital, the process is quite different. It's kind of like I have to paint with flat colors. Almost like if I was doing this with acrylic. How many of you guys use acrylic or paint with acrylic? You don't paint much, unfortunately. Oh no. Well, hopefully you will. I think my very first medium was oils, and now I think most people, their first medium is acrylic. Acrylic is very forgiving, but it's kind of like I don't like the way it blends. Like, personally, I find acrylic really annoying to blend. So I wasn't a huge fan until I like really learned how to use acrylic by mixing in different types of mediums to kind of slow down the drying time. Right now, what I'm really trying to do is just kind of block in the very basic shapes using just an opaque brush and a very big brush at that, trying to not focus in too much on the details, just kind of like blocking in my shapes with a very, very big brush. Oh, my original reference picture? Sure, I'll put my original reference picture up too. Here it is. Whoops. Here's the original. There you go. And it's totally fine if you want to copy my work. I don't mind at all. Go for it. There's only one original, guys. It's been exhibited and such, so I don't... I'm not... See, if I see somebody copying my work, I don't get mad. I'm just like, cool. They must really like it. I take it as a compliment. I'm not... I don't get upset, so... Don't worry. What I'm really trying to do is just keep things very, very simple and block in everything. Like right now, I even think this brush is too small. Really, the secret is using big brushes. And again, I don't paint often digitally, so I'm kind of stumbling through this. Stumble with me, guys. Kevin says, I love thick, chunky acrylic. Like the stuff that gives you lots of texture. Like the heavy body acrylic. I like that too. Like I do love acrylic for commissions because it's just so fast, right? Like I could paint a portrait. I could paint a portrait if I'm observing somebody from, you know, from life. In 2 hours, right? Because I have to, and because they're sitting there for me, like back in the old days. But if I had to, if I had a picture, it takes me a lot longer because, you know, I'm not in a rush. There's no deadline, right? So it really is like, how motivated are you by the deadline? The deadline for me is a huge motivator. And if you want me to paint you a portrait in 2 hours, just sit for me. Let me light you and sit you down like, you know, like one of those old school patrons. I love that kind of stuff. I used to host life drawing and got to work with a lot of models, and sometimes the models that I would paint would actually buy my work on the spot, which is pretty cool. Dante's Inferno says, I've been trying to do more landscapes lately, but it's all digital. That's okay. Yeah, no, that's okay. I mean, whatever you paint with, the real reason, like the real important part is that you're painting, right? Like as long as you are painting, I think that is better than not painting, right? Doesn't matter what you paint with. Even if you're finger painting, guys, even if you're finger painting, that's better than not painting. So I hear a lot of people are like, oh, I can't paint because I don't have this brush. And I'm like, that's nonsense. You can paint with your finger. You can paint with a mouse. You just paint. I know it's kind of, you know, not pleasant sometimes to paint with a mouse, right? But waiting till you have the perfect tool, you can wait forever. And I got really annoyed in art school. I don't know if this has happened to any of you guys, but have you ever taken an art class where the teacher's like, oh, you gotta buy Winsor Newton gouache, and you gotta buy like the most expensive paints. Because yeah, okay, expensive paints are much better quality and your paintings will, you know, generally the pigments are better and, you know, all that. But I find that when I'm instructed, well, when I was a student and I was instructed to use really, really nice paints, I found that it actually made me very precious with the paint. So then what happened was I didn't actually, I felt like I didn't take out enough paint because I was too scared to use it because it was expensive. So when I got myself some student grade, I think I started using Daler-Rowney type of paints. I actually think Walmart bought them, but I loved that student brand of paints because it was kind of watery and I could, you know, squeeze out a lot and not feel so pressured into, you know, only using a little bit or saving it. I was very generous with the amount of paint that I used, and so it made me paint better. So actually using student grade paints and not being afraid to squeeze out more paint actually helped me become a better painter. Hey Batman, welcome in. You want to try and paint along, but now you got to catch up. No worries, you didn't miss much. I know some of you guys were all in Iggy's live critique. If you guys didn't know, if our students and our members can come to live critiques on our Discord. And so Iggy just had a critique right before this, so hopefully you were there. Drawing While Talking says it's the best digital medium if you've got a mouse. Oh no, I feel freer and faster digitally, never worried about getting supplies or wasting them. Yeah, okay, exactly. Okay, with digital, you don't really have to buy supplies, right? You don't have to buy supplies, so it's true. You get to kind of and there's Control Z, which can be a great thing, but it can also not be a great thing. Like personally, I think Control Z is great, but I also think that when you don't have it and you're forced to paint over your mistakes or kind of like work with your mistakes, sometimes interesting things happen. I'm having some pen pressure issues. Just give me 1 second here. It's like, let me try a different brush. Yeah, it's not sensing any of the pressure. Okay, just a second. I'm like, why is my painting so chunky? Like, there's no pen pressure whatsoever. Oh, let's see here. Why? Okay, that'll give you some time to catch up then. While I figure out my pen issues. It's saying that my current pressure is 0. Why is that happening? Okay. Okay, let me try a different pen. Here. Okay. Okay, it is working. Why is it not working on here, though? That is strange. Hey, Vin, welcome in. Drawing while talking. Yeah, I try to paint over the majority of things, find solutions that have actually turned out better, except with something happens that ruined something I really like. Yeah, you know, sometimes it's like, it's kind of like Bob Ross said. Happy accidents can be great. Like, they can spark things that you don't expect. And it can be really, really fun. Okay. So I don't know why I'm having some pen pressure issues, guys. Like, it's working on here, but it's not working in my program. Why is this happening? You see, the pen pressure is not working. All right, let me troubleshoot. Just give me 1 second. Why is my pen pressure not working? Configure Krita, set to Windows ink, and restart. Uh-oh. Okay, so settings, configure Krita. Okay. Thanks, Reddit. Nope, that didn't work. All right, I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna save it. Let's go. Okay, so I'm gonna restart Krita, guys. So 1 second. Just gonna put this scenic sketches here to hopefully inspire you guys, and I'm gonna just restart my Krita and see if that works. Okay. All right. So let's see if that setting worked. Ah, it did. Look at that. My pen pressure's back. Woohoo. Okay. Okay. There we go. Thank you, Reddit. Except I lost all my swatches, but that's all right. We'll start again. Now that my pressure sensitivity is back, I'm not like struggling through like why is it so clunky? See, now I can even get a little bit of transparency with the brushes that I'm using. So with the blends, like, I guess I will have to use an airbrush. I don't like using the airbrush, but I don't see any other way right now to kind of get that smooth transition that I want. So like, I actually really like using hard brushes for everything. But with oils, you're just able to blend so effortlessly, right? It's really hard to do with digital. And because, I mean, there might be a great brush for this, but because I've committed to using only brushes that are default. That's kind of where I'm at with, whoops. In terms of the blending. So I'm just going to use a big airbrush here. Oh my gosh, the sky would have taken me so long to do traditionally, but because you can't really paint oils with an airbrush. I've also been playing around with a program called Rebel, which is really nice. It's almost like painting traditionally, and it has beautiful like oil textured brushes that are just beautiful to use. But I haven't really been, I thought with today I would use a free program like Krita, something very basic, so that anybody can follow along with me. If you've never used Krita before, it is kind of, there is a learning curve. It's not super simple to use, and the shortcuts are a little clunky. But it's free, and it's way better than GIMP, which is like Photoshop, like the free version of Photoshop. Way better. And it does animation. So for all the people who worked on Krita, all the developers, thank you so much for creating something so awesome. When I was learning digital for the first time, I had to buy Photoshop because there was nothing else, you know? There was kind of, there really was nothing else. So I think I started with Photoshop 3 back in, when was that? 2001, maybe? No. 2003, probably. Yeah. And I had to pay for a university class, which was like $200 per class. The classes were 3 hours. And now you can learn any software for free. So we've come a long way, guys. Batman's so inspired. Oh, I'm glad. I am glad you're inspired. Yeah, Krita is great. Like I was a Photoshop user for many years, and then I heard of Krita, and actually our studio we were figuring out back back when the pandemic was still, you know, going on and everybody had to stay home and we were in lockdowns. When we transitioned online, we were trying to figure out, okay, what is the best digital art software to recommend? Like, what should we recommend to our students that's free, that everybody can use, that's easy to use? And it was really Krita and Medibang that kept coming up. I think like some of the first videos that we made on our channel were Medibang videos, because Medibang was a free software that was super easy to learn. And at the time, it was something that we really needed. Like, you know, people wanted to learn digital, but they didn't want to spend or invest hundreds of dollars in Photoshop or pay a subscription. Especially if it's kids, right? Like sometimes we would have kids picking it up as a hobby or just like trying it out. So, yeah. Then I started using Medibang to teach, and it did some of the similar things as Photoshop. Interested in what you guys are using. I know some of you guys are Clip users. Clip Studio Paint is also a really good one. I use it on my phone. I love how the brushes blend. And Krita is actually not very friendly on mobile or on tablets because it only has one orientation. Like it literally only has desktop orientation. So it's, unless you're working on a PC, it's super clunky on tablet. Yeah, Procreate, I heard from a lot of my artist friends that Procreate is amazing. And it's just like super easy to use. So yeah, I'm not an iPad user, but if I was, I would probably use Clip or Procreate. And by the way, if you guys want to try out Clip Studio Paint, we're giving away 3-month trials. So you can join our Discord to get more info on that, or visit our website. So if you guys want to give Clip Studio Paint a try, it's actually industry standard in Japan. Really nice program because it also does animation and it has like countless tutorials and also 3D models that a lot of people find very helpful for posing and such. But Krita is open source, so you know it's made by volunteers. It doesn't really have a lot of advertising dollars behind it, or just you know, a lot of it's completely open source, which is awesome. But it's a great program. Hey Jess, welcome in. I think I'm just trying to capture like the essence of this painting. I'm not really like, I don't want to, you know, have to create every nook and cranny, but you guys can see like how big my brush is and really just how small and zoomed out I like to stay. If I zoom in too much, then it's kind of like I will just focus in on the details. So zooming out for me is like the best tip for keeping things very, very simple and fast. I'm going to zoom out even more. Whoop. Right, so if you zoom out and you kind of look at your values and such, and they look pretty similar, then it's pretty good. That means you're kind of on the right track. Hi, Owari Dak. Welcome. I am doing a very quick digital painting today. Today's challenge is to paint this entire thing using default brushes and one layer. I'm going to try to do it all on one layer. Maybe I will, add an extra layer later on, but I'm going to try to do most of it in one layer. Just to kind of like really see how much I can get away with. How much I can actually do. And if you just joined us, this painting is actually one of mine. I painted it in 2016 for a show called The Artist Project. Anyone heard of The Artist Project here? It's an art exhibition, like an international one, but it's in Canada, and it's usually in February, and it's a big showcase of fine art. And so I did a series of paintings inspired by travel, and this is a landscape based on a photo that I took in a place called Hampi in India. It's actually a World UNESCO Heritage Site. And it's a gorgeous place, like absolutely beautiful. And very sort of, very spiritual and also pretty wild. Like, there were goats sort of wandering around. Goats, cows, monkeys, lots of monkeys. Most people still washed their clothes in the river, and so at the hostel that I stayed at, they had laundry service, and so I paid like $2 or something to get my laundry done, and they washed it in the local river. Like, it was really, and it was very clean. Like, the water was very clean. The landscape was really made up of rice paddies, and boulders like this. So again, like, you're totally welcome to paint along with me. Use my picture, use my painting, doesn't matter. I don't get upset when people copy my work, because I am a teacher. So, it's kind of like I feel like it's a compliment. And I'm mostly like a traditional painter, right? So there's only one original painting of this. It is a limited edition, meaning that I sell prints, and once they're gone, they're gone. So I think I made an edition of like 200. So you can get an original print, but once the edition's sold out, then I destroy the file, and no one else can get it. And it comes with a certificate of authenticity. But yeah, there is only one original painting. So that's the nice thing about traditional art, is that you can't print a bunch of it, right? Like, a file is still a file. At the end of the day, it's still digital. Like, it doesn't exist as a tangible thing. And I think, I don't know, maybe I'm old school, but I like having something, like a tangible piece, even if it sits in my basement when it's not being exhibited, or hung on my wall. Yeah, exactly. If you're not prepared to be copied, I'd avoid being an artist or being an art instructor. Yeah. I see copying as flattery, you know, like I know that nowadays it's so easy to copy people or plagiarize or say, oh, I did this when you clearly didn't. So I see it as, yeah, okay, have integrity, you know, if you're gonna copy somebody, cool, credit them, right? Don't just like say it's your own. But it doesn't matter if I get angry, you know, if I see my work copied, like what am I gonna do? Have a tantrum? Like, no, it's fine. As long as you're not making t-shirts with it or, you know, trying to act like me. No bad actors. I'm having fun with these rocks, just kind of putting in some texture. I'm a very loose painter, and so with digital, like with this piece, I want to try to keep it loose as well. I want to, you know, build things up. And again, the trick is to not zoom in. Do not zoom in, guys. Because you can't zoom in on a traditional piece, right? So why zoom in and get like crazy close to a digital piece? You know, if I was afraid to be copied, I wouldn't be streaming, like right? But like your art is supposed to be enjoyed. And I've copied old masters, like that's how you learn, you know. I've done master copies of Sargent and Michelangelo and, you know, Van Gogh. I think we all have. Right? Like that's master copies is a very common project even in art school. So, but it's better to copy somebody's style with your own subject matter, right? Like you can really observe and see what you really enjoy about somebody's work. And then try to do it your own way. So right now what I'm really focused on is just getting the big picture down, because the first 80% takes as long as the last 20%. Right, so if you can get something down quickly, then you're still gonna have to put in the details. So no matter what, it's still gonna take a little bit longer. Oh, but that pen pressure is so nice. I did like the first 10 minutes maybe with no pen pressure, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is like using MS Paint in 1998. Like, it is so bad. Oh. So with the pen pressure, I can almost blend without using the airbrush.
So just to let you guys know, you guys chose a this piece. I put a poll up on our YouTube community, and I put some other options because I really thought that most of you would want to paint water or a sky, right? I didn't imagine that this night scene is what everybody wanted, but it won by a landslide. So yeah, there you go. If you want to vote for our future polls, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and then you will be notified. And if you join our Discord, and grab the live streams role, we'll ping you every time there's a poll going out so that you can be involved and you can choose what you want to see us draw. Yeah, exactly. Simple is almost always better, right? I mean, like, if you think about copying, right? We copy our parents when we grow up. We copy our peers. Copying is normal. It's like normal human behavior. You shouldn't feel bad about it. What you should feel bad is if you try to disguise it as your own. Like, it's clearly not your own, right? Give credit where credit is due, but don't be afraid to copy. Copying is how we learn. So I know that, like, there are a lot of people out there who are just, like, really afraid to copy anything, and even references. Like, some of our students, you know, they say, "Oh, Faye, like, I want to be able to draw things out of my head. I don't want to copy anybody." And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's great. Like, you should absolutely draw things out of your head, but you have to learn how to draw things by copying first. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in it. It's actually immensely helpful to use reference, right? So, especially as a beginner. So just know the difference between copying and stealing. Okay? Like, there's a difference. Don't be afraid to copy if you're learning, but don't steal. Don't plagiarize. Don't claim it as your own. And credit the artist. Okay. One note about the moon here. So the reason I was able to get this really bright color in the original painting is because there is a very, like, anytime you paint a sun or a moon, if you used pure white, it always tends to look a little bit flat and a little bit cool. So I like to use a white that has yellow in it, like a warm yellow pigment, because it feels a lot warmer, right? It just has that natural contrast, and against that blue, right, it's gonna have more contrast. So what I'm gonna do is build up the maximum amount of color contrast that I can, especially around the edge of the moon, right? Because think about it, if the moon has the most contrast, it's gonna have value contrast, right? So dark against light, and it's also gonna have color contrast. Color contrast being yellow against purple, right? So if it has both value contrast and color contrast, then it's gonna really, really pop, and it's gonna get that vibrant glow. So even though I'm painting with digital, right? Digital, it's already painting with light, so I have an advantage. But if you're painting something traditionally, right, you have to think about, like, how am I going to get that glow? How am I going to get the most amount of contrast, both with value? You know, go through your elements of art and your principles of design: value, contrast, color, and you know, how are you going to get the most amount of contrast instead of just like putting in a faux glow, right? Like you could use digital tools like Glow Dodge, for example. I know Iggy talks about Glow Dodge a lot, and I've actually don't know how to use it. I'm like, I have to try it. I think I've experimented with it before, but today I'm actually just trying to paint everything manually without using any digital filters, just to kind of challenge myself. Welcome in, Star. Welcome to your first stream. Oh, no worries, Batman. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. Come on, I need to make this moon look round. There you go. So when I zoom out, look, it's got that nice glow. Right? If you looked at the original painting, hold on, let me see if I can find the original. The original painting, just load it into Krita. So you can't see it too well, but there's lots of texture in the moon. Lots of texture. It's like actually painted on very thick. So it's also contrast of texture. So very smooth sky and very thick paint on the moon. So you can't really see it here because, you know, I can't actually physically put texture on the piece. But that's another way to kind of add contrast to it. Hey Sakrio, welcome in. You use Glow Dodge and Lightning Layers as finishing touches. Yeah, Glow Dodge is great for finishing touches. It just like enhances everything by just a smidge, right? So it just like looks just a little bit better. I'm actually not copying the rocks exactly because that's way too tedious. I'm just kind of getting it to be close, right? The idea is to like try to match the feeling, try to capture the feeling of this without getting too lost in the details, because the original painting, like I said, took me like 20 hours and I'm really trying to just recreate it in 2. So I'm like unfocusing my eyes a lot and trying not to get too stuck in the details, just focusing on shapes more than anything else. Shapes and lighting. It's a good excuse to practice digital painting. So let me know if you guys painted first traditionally and then moved on to digital, or if you started off digital. I'm really interested in knowing what your first medium, what your first paint medium was. Because like, I think that most people will still paint traditionally, right? Like in school and such. I think schools still have a lot of catching up to do. And I also think it is really important to paint traditionally, just so you learn how to mix colors, right? Like digital painting is so easy in that you don't actually need to mix colors. You can just choose from a beautiful pre-made palette of light. You can't do that when it comes to traditional. You you have to take out your own colors and mix them and try to match them and try to make them consistent, and it can be a pain. So with digital, it's just like so much easier to be able to just choose, right, from this beautiful color wheel with all of the colors just ready to go. Dante's Infernal says, I started off traditional, I think, but started drawing way more often when I picked up digital. Cool. Okay. I don't think I didn't start digital until I was in university. I did everything traditionally. And then with Krita, I actually started using Krita to teach. And then I abandoned Photoshop. I was like, see you later, Photoshop. I didn't use it enough. And honestly, I started using Photoshop in the beginning to manipulate photos. I had a job where I had to basically like touch up fine art images, and I would like pump up the levels. I would work on giving the images more contrast, touching them up, and things like that. So I used really Photoshop. Photoshop was really for photographers in the beginning, and so that's kind of how I used it. Really just to touch up photos. I didn't really use it for painting until I learned. I actually used Illustrator more for creating images than Photoshop. And back then, Photoshop was really used, like when I was in school, Photoshop was used more to enhance your work. So it's like you could create a painting traditionally with Photoshop, right? And then enhance it digitally. So that's kind of how it started. And then people started using it to create images. And then it became this painting tool, or this painting software. But before, it was really a photo manipulation software. Big Snake Boss says traditional, then started using digital around middle school. Cool. Yeah. Your first drawing program was Sketchbook. Cool. I've heard good things about Sketchbook, but I've never actually used it. I imagine a lot of these programs are very similar, right? I'm just gonna write a note for everybody who joins who's like, why are you zoomed out so much? It's like, stay zoomed out. There. Now you know I'm not zooming in. On my tablet, I use an XP Pen 24-inch, and it is huge. So this painting is probably like in inches right now. Probably, I would say 5 by 10, or yeah, it's probably about 10 inches on my tablet. So it's huge. It's already too big, but if I zoomed out more, I feel like you guys wouldn't be able to see it. But, I would be okay with painting really small, or just like zooming out completely to just check my values, right? Okay, time to put some of this yellow in. And like so far I've only really used one brush. Which brush is it? I don't even know what it's called. This one. Bristles flat. Let me just check. Yeah. Bristles 2 flat rough. That's the brush that I'm using. But I like the dry brush as well for texture. I just found a brush that has a little bit of opacity, a little bit of texture. I really like the square brushes. So like the rectangular brushes that kind of look like this, right? Because I use a lot of flat brushes when I'm painting with oils and acrylic. I really love my flat brushes. So it's kind of the same thing when it comes to digital. I love flat brushes. I dislike round brushes. I find that flat brushes have just so much more character. And if you just joined us, I'm only using default brushes. So whatever brushes I'm using, it comes free with Krita, which is also free. So you can do exactly what I'm doing. And I don't have to hear anybody say, oh, I didn't have the right brush, so I'm not gonna paint. I can't do it because I don't have the brush that she's using. It's not about the brush. It's never about the brush, in my opinion. Very, very rarely. Like, you could give a professional artist minimal tools and they will be able to work with it, right? I actually find that limitations are better. It's like the more choices you have, the more colors you have. For example, inexperienced artists will think that they need every color, and they'll think that they'll need every brush. Like, oh, I need a fan brush for this, and I need I need like 50 brushes, and I need 25 colors. And it's like, no, you don't. You really only need 5 colors. And if you can paint with just your primary colors, yeah, sure, it's a little annoying that you have to mix all those colors. But if you can just paint with your primaries, then you can paint anything. So, not about the brush, guys. Never about the brush. I mean, there's some brushes, like, I know Jessie, when she's drawing comics, she'll, like, use a crowd brush that she made herself to paint crowds in, right? Because it's, like, a lot of work to kind of paint in a whole bunch of little people, especially if you're doing a comic. So, yeah, like, sometimes brushes can save you a lot of time. But if you're a comic artist and you're producing a lot of stuff and you need those shortcuts, then absolutely it's fine. But if you're just learning and you're learning the techniques, brushes don't really matter. Yeah, like one of my students, Mauro, he just uses a palette knife. Like, palette knife for everything. And his work is gorgeous, right? So sometimes limiting the stuff that you are using, like, think about limited palettes, for example, right? Why are limited palettes so appealing? Right? Why is less almost always more? Just think about that. Like, having less tools is better. Having less colors is better because it forces you to learn more. This is looking kind of neat once I put those highlights in. Welcome in, Logernami. Looking good. Thank you. Dante's Inferno, I don't know what kind of brush you're talking about. The brush that I'm using or fan brushes. Anyway, if you guys are wondering what brush I'm using a Krita default brush called Bristles 2 Flat Rough. I tend to really like brushes that are textured and flat. That's just my personal preference. So if I zoomed in, or not zoomed in, if I made this brush really big, this is what it looks like. It kind of looks like a map of a city or something, like a district. But my favorite brushes, I've saved some of my favorite brushes here, so you can see like half of them are textured brushes. These are all default brushes. I have never bought a brush pack in my life. Maybe that will change one day. But I tend to be able to do whatever I need to do using default brushes. I've never really had to rely on a certain brush. And so for this painting challenge, I'm really just painting everything on one layer using one brush, or like very minimal brushes. So everything you can see here is on one layer, and then this is on another layer. I just painted the yellow on a different layer so that I don't have to disrupt it. I can go back in and I can paint the stuff underneath. Because usually, like if I work traditionally, I have to kind of work dark to light. Like I can't paint in my lights without finishing my darks. So with digital, I get the benefit of putting them on two separate layers. The flat brushes you were talking about? Cool. Okay, well, I hope you can try it. Try it out and see if it's working for you. So the story behind this painting was I traveled to Hampi, and Hampi is a small village in India. It's kind of like right in the middle of India. And I traveled there with a friend. We were on a bus, on an 11-hour bus from Mumbai to Hampi. So it took 11 hours. It was like a sleeper bus. And we had like these bunks. And we were traveling with a bunch of local people. It was really hot and a little smelly, but like, you know, for the most part, it was cheap and cheerful, very, very inexpensive. So I was like, okay, I'm okay roughing it, you know, probably didn't shower for like 4 days anyway. And like, you know, walking barefoot and stuff, getting the full experience. So anyway, while I was there, I remember on the bus ride, they were like, they woke us up halfway and they were like, okay guys, it's bathroom break. All right, come on, let's all go and take our bathroom break because we won't be able to stop for another 4 hours. So I thought, okay, cool, let's go. So we go outside and I'm looking around and we're just at this big field. And I'm like, where are the bathrooms? I'm kind of looking for like a pit stop or something, right? Like a, you know, where the buses stop and fuel up and stuff. No, it was a field. They're like, yeah, this is it. So I was like, okay, well, let's go find the tallest tree, and we just kind of went in a field. That was a funny memory. At the time, it was a little scary, but now I look back and kind of laugh. Hey, Hualia, welcome. You'd be terrified? No idea how to handle that all. You know, it's kind of like if you're going to go to India, you got to have some grit, you know? Otherwise, you're not going to have a lot of fun. I had so much fun because I just tried to live like the locals. I showered with ice cold water. There was no toilet paper, so we had to use a cup, you know? But like after I came out, I was like, I can do anything. I can take cold showers. I can walk around among monkeys and goats and not feel scared. Right? Like I just kind of when you're in that situation, you just kind of figure it out and adapt. But it was a lot of fun. It was a little terrifying. But like once we got there, it was so beautiful. This place was just all rice paddies, and let me see if I have some photos I can show you. It was one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to, and I would love to go back. The entire village was vegetarian, so you were not allowed to bring meat. You were not allowed to bring alcohol into this place. So let me show you guys what it looks like. Like this is Hampi. So this was the night market, actually. This is the place that we're painting today. You can see that there were big boulders here, and this is like a market, an ancient market that was kind of falling apart, but it's still used by the villagers today, so they haven't really rebuilt it. And then all these temples. So this was like a temple in the middle of the village, and you can see these are all the boulders, just these huge rocks, and lots of rice paddies. So I did a lot of painting in Hampi. I just sat there and just was in awe. I drew this exact place with this big rock and these ruins here. But yeah, I highly recommend it. I would have never known to go there had I not had some friends in India that I have one friend who's like a director, and he wanted to go to Hampi for just for market research because he was working on a film, and he was just like scouting out some cool locations. And I tagged along. I was like, yeah, sure, take me with you. I would love to just go to a new place I've never heard of. And it was one of the most beautiful places. And a very peaceful place. Very, very, very religious. A lot of the ancient traditions still exist there. You remember hearing the cup technique is actually more sanitary. You know what? I've had horrible experiences with bathrooms throughout my life, just public bathrooms. Like horrible experiences. And I thought I had the worst experience in China. Like I thought the bathrooms in China were really bad. And then I was like really afraid of the bathrooms in India, but I thought they were not that bad. I mean, granted, I didn't go to any of the latrines, right, in the shanty towns or anything like that, so I probably was spared. But I personally like traveling and roughing it. Like I love camping. I would love to go visit the Amazon while I still can. So I know a lot of people don't like that style of travel, but I do. So Okay, so I'm trying a dry brush now because I want to add a little bit of texture. So now the brush I'm using is called Dry Bristles. Dry Bristles. So if I make it really big, that's what it looks like. And I like how it turns. So it doesn't look super uniform or like super digital, because sometimes digital paintings look very digital. Do you know what I mean? Like no texture, just kind of very I don't know a better word than just super digital looking. So I like the surprise of textured brushes, personally. Especially if I wanted to add some texture to the ruins. So, you know, this would be really helpful for concept art. Like if you're working on concept art, I think it would be really nice to just kind of keep it loose and just to get the idea across. Jermina says, what game, whether that's console or mobile, that's constantly inspiring you when it comes to art? Ooh, that's a good question. I actually don't play a lot of video games, but I'm playing one game on the Switch called Wingspan, and it's a game about trading birds. And it's beautiful. Like, just, it's very simple. It's almost like a card game, but on a console. On a oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. On the Switch. And then before that, I really enjoyed Animal Crossing. Actually, Jessie got me into it because she kept talking about Animal Crossing. She was obsessed with it. And then I was like, okay, I have to see what this Animal Crossing is about. And then I got really into it. I thought it was beautiful and fun and really cute. I really like Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Just like really love the design. The whole game is so beautiful. And I recently saw a movie called Ne Zha. Have you guys seen that movie? It's the biggest, largest grossing animated film in history. It was originally, is based off a Chinese story, and it's currently in theaters. So I took my mom to see it this weekend. And she had wanted to see it for a long time because she heard so much hype about this movie. And then I took her to see it, and it was like watching a 2.5-hour video game. I liked it, don't get me wrong. I thought it was really well done, but it was very video gamey. Like the graphics, lots of fighting, the characters, the explosions. It was just like it was a lot. Anybody seen Ne Zha? I'll put it in the chat. Anyways, it's in theaters and it grossed $2 billion. I think it was like an $80 million budget to produce, and is the highest grossing animation film of all time. It's a 3D animated film. Fantasy. Yeah, anybody seen it? Anybody seen the first one? The first one I actually watched on Saturday because I hadn't watched the first one either. I've heard a lot about it. The first one is free. You can watch it on YouTube for free. I was like so amazed. Yeah, you can watch it on YouTube for free. There are ads, but it's like pretty minimal. And then the second one is like 2.5 hours. I saw it in the theaters, which I'm glad I did. The first one is also on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, you can watch it. Otherwise, you can watch it on YouTube for free. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was I actually liked the first. I know a lot of people said that the second one was better, but I thought the first one had just like it was slightly more peaceful, slightly slower. Like the second one just had so much action. It was so action packed that I was holding my breath for the longest time, like waiting for this epic fight scene to end, and then a new one started before that one ended, and I just got lost in all the fighting. But if you like video games and you like, for example, like Final Fantasy and stuff like that, you would really like it. Yeah, it grossed $2 billion. Like, that is the highest grossing animated film ever in history. I think it broke all these records. And what I really liked about it was that it had a lot of twists. Like, it had a very unexpected it had a pretty complicated storyline, actually, for an animated film. So in some ways it could have been a bit hard to follow, but it was based on Chinese mythology. So it had a lot of like deities and demons and stuff. So if you like demons, holy smokes, lots of demons in that movie. Like loads of demons. And I really, really like the character design of the main character. So the main character, the premise is this boy who was kind of born a demon, and the village was going to sacrifice him. But his mom said, don't kill my son. He's just a baby. He's innocent. And then he's just like this very troubled kid who has powers that are uncontrolled. And there's lots of dragons in it. If you love dragons, there's like a whole kind of dragon society. Has demon hunters in it too. Yeah. Hey Indigo, welcome. If you had just joined, I am recreating one of my older paintings, which I did in oil, and I'm recreating it in a digital medium. Giving myself 2 hours, so I'm at about an hour and a half. And now I'm just kind of getting into the details and refining it a little bit more. Trying to stay zoomed out throughout as much as I can, because again, zooming in kills your productivity. So I thought it would be really fun to try and recreate one of my traditional paintings digitally and just kind of see how far I get with it. The traditional painting is about 12 by 24. So this is what it looks like. And I haven't gotten to the motorcycle yet, so I will need to zoom in for the motorcycle. But you can kind of see it's more like, it feels more concept art-y, right? Feels it feels more like it feels more like a concept art piece. But it's close enough. Like, I've never actually repainted my work before. I usually will study, like when I do studies, I usually paint from photos. And I do have the original photo next to it. I just wanted to show you kind of what the original looked like and the changes I made digitally, the changes I made in the actual painting. I made the colors brighter. I made the rock formation point to the sun, or point to the moon a little bit more, just so it was like a little bit more compositionally flattering. And now I'm just gonna try a bunch of different brushes to see what type of texture I can create. So like if I zoom in, right, you can see like I really like this texture down here. It almost looks like an actual painting, whereas like up here, right, this brush, you can see it starts to get really repetitive, right? It starts to look digital, right? This brush down here, like this one is okay. I feel like I had more variety with my strokes. But because I use the same brush for the boulder, I want to be able to maybe add a little bit more texture. And then the sun I painted manually with just a textured brush. Oh, I keep saying sun, it's the moon, sorry. Okay. Okay, Faye, zoom out, zoom out. I keep saying don't zoom in, and here I am. Kind of judging my own piece zoomed in when I really shouldn't be. Okay, so now I'm gonna be adding some darks, right, to really enhance the kind of dramatic lighting. And I love putting color in my darks. Like I love putting in, you know, ultramarine blue straight out of the tube because it's a transparent color. But then when you put it on really thick, right, it almost looks black. But then sometimes under the right type of light, it's blue, but it's dark. And usually your shadows are nice and cool. So I really love hiding blues in my shadows. This painting contains no black. I recall only using ultramarine and probably some burnt umber to mix the blacks. Like that's my favorite way of mixing black if I'm painting with oils. So you can kind of see like I am in the darker value range, but sometimes I find black to be kind of flat. Especially as soon as you add white, a little bit of white to it, it just starts to look really gray and flat. Whereas like if I painted with color, right, like a blue for my darks, or like even like a color like alizarin crimson, which is is like a deep red color, I find it has so much more life to it. So again, like I'm a traditional painter doing this digitally and just kind of seeing what happens. I have no expectations for this, really. Just, this is a big experiment and I'm kind of stumbling through the tools because I don't do this very often. Jualia says, been getting back into Krita lately. How long have you been using it? I have been using it for, oh geez, I don't know. I would say maybe a year off and on, but I don't usually, I don't use it that often. So I've been using Rebel, which is a digital painting software made for traditional artists, because it has a lot of really nice textured brushes, like really, really nice texture. And I might actually experiment with putting this into Rebel, because it looks like it's pretty done. I thought I would need 2 hours, but it actually just took an hour and a half to get it here, right? Like, I think this is enough for concept art if I really wanted to communicate like the mood of something, right? But yeah, I've just been playing around with Krita for about a year. I started really using it to teach more so than anything else, to do drawovers and stuff. Indigo says, it looks amazing. For a second, I didn't know which was the reference and which was the painting. Thank you. Thank you. I like the color change from the reference pic. The choice with popping blue works so well with the orange. Yeah, I wanted to use, like, if you look at the original reference picture, right? If I had to put a color scheme on it, I would probably say it's like a triadic color palette, right? Like, you've got desaturated red, you've got desaturated blue. Like, if I actually just like took this and made a color swatch, like, that's pretty blue, right? It's in the blue triangle. And then if I took, you know, this color, okay, it's kind of orangey, it's kind of reddish, right? So I could have gone complementary with like blue and orange. So if I did that, I might have chose like a brighter orange, right? So I could have done this color palette. But I thought it would be a fun challenge to kind of do a very primary palette, like this really bright blue and bright red, right? Let me put the yellow in the middle. And like bright yellow. It's really hard to pull off a primary color palette, because if you don't pull it off well, it tends to look like a preschool, right? It tends to look like a children's painting. So I don't know. I don't know why I made that decision, because blue and orange is usually a lot safer than the very primary color palette that I chose. But yeah, if I had done it on a different day, I might have done it differently. Like, I might have done orange and blue instead of the red and blue. But I did really like the way it turned out. Like, the original piece has a little motorcycle on it, and I don't want to zoom in too much, so I'm just gonna take a screenshot of that motorcycle and just put it in so that I don't have to zoom into my reference picture, because if I zoom into my reference picture, I'm going to overwork this. So there you go. There's my motorcycle. I'm going to see about putting it in here. Drawing While Talking says, when we finish, where shall we post our versions and tag you, Faye? Post it on the Discord. Post it under the Discord. There's a channel there called Digital Art, and then you can just post it in there. If you painted along with me, you're welcome to tag me. Might look into Rebel if I can get it working on Linux. Yeah, Rebel is great. I'm looking forward to trying Rebel 8. I'm still working with Rebel 7, and I thought about doing this in Rebel actually, but then
I thought, you know what? Krita is so much more accessible. Anybody can use Krita, so I decided to do it in Krita just so that anyone can follow along. Okay, so for the motorcycle, I'm probably going to use just kind of like a round brush. I know I said I don't like round brushes. I don't have anything against them. Actually, round brushes are great for watercolor. Like, I love round brushes with watercolor. They hold so much paint. They're very reliable. But with oils, I like my filberts and I like my flats. Like, I will choose flat brushes all day over round brushes. But it's just personal preference. Like, one of my instructors, Alex Schaefer, you guys can look him up. His work is incredible, and he hates banks, so he paints a lot of banks on fire. But anyway, this instructor changed my life when it came to painting. I learned so much from him, and he was this like really eclectic individual who, you know, who loved painting outside. And he really got me to love painting outside too. But he painted everything with huge round brushes, like literally size 20 when painting portraits. And it just blew my mind. I was like, how can you use a brush that I would use to like paint my house, right? To paint a face. Like, I couldn't understand how he did it. And he loved round brushes. So I have some. And I can get them to work. Like, if you told me, Faye, you can only paint with a round brush, then I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll make it work. Do I have to? Okay, fine, I'll make it work. That's fine. But if I had a choice, I would choose flat over round all day long. I just find with flat brushes, you get so much more control that you can't really get with round. Yeah, the reference is very saturated with the yellow lights being the focal point. I like how you increase the saturation of the other colors to make the elements in the pic pop. Thank you. All right, the texture of the rock and water being visible also looks nice. Thanks. I don't actually think it's water. It kind of looks like water, but it's not. So I might have to put some texture on it. Because if you're reading this as water, I'm like, uh-oh. It's actually, I don't actually know what that is. I'm assuming it's just rock and ruins. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we will be, if you're in my drawing class, so I'm teaching Drawing Foundations 2 and painting and drawing and painting mentorship. So if you're in my drawing class, we're going to be doing some landscapes, and we're going to be doing some rocks, painting some different natural textures, and learning how to do that together in class. Our fall term just started, and it goes until September. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm going to be experimenting with all different types of paints in my painting mentorship. We're going to be doing watercolor and crayon. Our first class, that's like I'm really into watercolor and crayon right now. It's so much fun. So I will be showing my techniques if you're in my class. Hi Maza, welcome in.
Jualia says, I'm out. Have fun with the rest of your painting. Cool. I'm almost done. I'm kind of just like, I could probably call it done, but I'm just kind of picking at it. What do you enjoy painting the most? Good question. Probably people. I enjoy painting people the most. If I had to choose, I would choose people. I'm actually a portrait artist, but the second thing I love painting the most is probably plein air. Like just like going to a new place and sitting down, breaking open my paints and just kind of painting what I see. And because when you paint outside, things change so quickly. Like the lighting changes. Sometimes it's really windy. Sometimes there's bugs on my painting. And I'm like, cool, you're gonna be part of you know, you're embedded inside the oils or the acrylics in this painting, so you're gonna be part of this piece. This piece is nature and natural history at the same time. I'm gonna merge all my layers now. Okay, so now it's all one layer. So landscapes are a close second. People are first. And whenever I have a really good idea for a painting, I get really excited about it. So conceptual pieces, things that have stories and ideas behind them. I love illustration too. I love like weird and quirky illustration. Lots of fun. Oof, it's so rough when I zoom in. Like, okay, so let's look at these rocks, how rough they are. and then like look at the finesse that I put into these rocks with oils, right? I remember I painted each rock and I paid attention to the hard and soft edges. This is just like quick and dirty. Like it's so fast and rough. If I had more time, I would definitely spend more time on the rocks. Which I guess I have 10 minutes, so I can do that now. It's funny though, I'm gonna put in like so much time finessing the rocks and then I'll zoom out and no one will notice what I did. That happens to me all the time. I start a painting and a lot of the times I'll paint in public or I'll paint at like an artist retreat or something. So there's always people around. And I don't mind because I've been, I'm an instructor, right? So I really don't mind when people watch me paint. But sometimes people will be like, oh my gosh, it looks so good. And I'm like, no, it's so rough. Like I barely started. And then 2 hours later, they're like, I'm like, oh, now it's good. And they look at it and they're like, it looks the same. Like, what did you change? And I'm like, oh, well, everything. But, people don't notice. Like, artists beat themselves up all the time because it doesn't look good or, oh, it's not finished. But like, really, if you focus on the big picture, nobody really notices if you add this or that, or if you spend 5 hours rendering a rock. Like no one, or when I say no one, like I would probably notice, right? Because I look at art all day. I've been an art director for for like 2 decades. But if it's just like the average person would probably not notice. So a lot of the time that we spend on stuff is kind of irrelevant. Like, it's that perfectionism that sometimes holds us back from the stuff that really matters. And I find that this is true with art. It's true with, business sometimes. It's true with a lot of things. Like, I find that if you zoom in too much on life, on anything, that it really tends to, it can slow things down a lot, right? It can add a lot of stress sometimes. That's kind of unnecessary. This made me realize that it's been a while since I've done landscapes or any background. Yeah, background art is so essential, guys. Like, I know that a lot of our community and a lot of our users and students love to design characters, and I do too. Like, I love drawing characters, but I try to I think as I did more and more art, I realized that that nature is sometimes the best inspiration, and sometimes it's the simple things that bring me the most joy. And yeah, landscapes are important, guys. I mean, in every animated film, there are background artists. Actually, we just interviewed Kelsey. She is a Wing Canvas alum working in animation. You should check out the stream on Saturday, the live replay, because Kelsey shares her experience as a background artist. She actually had a background in children's book and book illustration, and then is now working on really cool shows as a background artist, and she just gets to paint backgrounds all day, which sounds super fun. So yeah, everybody wants to design characters, but there's a lot more to animation and game art than just characters, right? There's props. Prop design is huge. Like, every game, show, animation, movie has props and backgrounds. Yeah, you can't really tell zoomed out. I know. Me agonizing over a tiny part of the painting. When I say don't agonize, yeah, don't agonize. Focus on big picture, because realistically, people are going to look at it for 2 seconds and be like, "Oh, it's great," because you're getting a feeling across, especially if you're a concept artist, right? Like, if you're doing fine art, then that's different. Like, if obviously when I painted this in oils, I wanted somebody to look at it for a long time. I want somebody to really like see something different every time they enjoy the piece. So it has a different purpose. If I'm working digitally, it's most likely like a concept, right? It's a concept art. So I think concept art can really be a lot more loose, and it doesn't really need to be Where's my blur tool? Oh, that's eraser. Okay. Is there a blur tool here? Okay, here. Blend. Yeah, if you're doing concept art, it doesn't need to be super detailed. In fact, sometimes the style of it is enhanced when it's really rough. Sejo, welcome. Can you tell me why you use Krita for your painting? I don't actually use Krita for painting. I am a traditional artist. I'm just using Krita because Krita is free, so anybody can use it. And it has like relatively okay default brushes. So I'm not using any special brushes. I'm just using default brushes, and I'm using a program that's free to show you guys that you can do this without expensive programs, without special brushes. Anyone can do this, right? You just have to try it. And try not to obsess too much over the details, because ultimately it's the big picture that makes most of the difference. Dante's Inferno, I've been wanting to practice more prop design lately, but I don't know where to start. Oh, we have many prop design streams that you can check out. Got tons of live streams and we have a couple shorts where we design weapons and such. But yeah, if you want to learn with me, or if you want to learn with Wing Canvas, you can first of all join our Discord, and you can start learning for free. You can join our live streams. Go to wingcanvas.com to see all of the stuff that we have for you guys. We have anywhere from, free critiques from our amazing volunteers on our Discord to live critiques with instructors. And so if you want to get in on those, join our Discord. Awesome community of over 8,000 art nerds. And at Wing Canvas, our mission is to make art education easily accessible to everyone. Hence why we're using Krita, why we're using default brushes, is so that anyone can do this. And we are more than just a YouTube channel. We're an online school of illustration and visual storytelling dedicated to helping artists turn their passion into income. And a huge shout out to our amazing students and members. Some of you guys are here tonight for supporting our mission. We love seeing your incredible artwork and watching you grow in our classes and weekly critiques. So if you want to dive deeper, join our Discord to access stream notes and demos, exclusive artworks, art challenges, and more free resources to help you improve. So come hang out with fellow art nerds and get inspired. I will be posting my artwork on the Discord after, so that you can take a look, zoom in if you want. Please don't, but you can if you want, just to see how rough it actually turned out to be. And I will post my original reference for you guys so that you can try it in a different color scheme. And if you've been painting along with me, upload your artwork to Instagram or to the Discord. If it's on Instagram, tag us at Wing Canvas. We'd love to share your artwork and cheer you on. If it's on the Discord, you can tag me, and I would love to see what you've been doing. All right, guys, you can join us for free live stream lessons on YouTube every week and level up your art skills with our community of art nerds. Next stream is going to be on Saturday, so we stream every Saturday and Monday nights. Thanks, guys, so much for joining me. I had a lot of fun, and hope you guys have a great night. Bye-bye.